I don't understand the people who say that there's not a problem with Genji's climb. To me, these people are either not playing Genji enough or they're playing him wrong. Because every single game, at least every single game, you reach a moment where you feel like you should be climbing, and yet you're just not fucking climbing. Genji just doesn't feel like activating the ability. And this isn't to do with sucking at Genji, to my knowledge, because I've seen people from every single skill level complain about him, and personally, I've got all modes. Genji. I've got 70 hours on Genji, and it's still a problem for me. So, the people who say it's wrong, they're either playing him incorrectly, or they're not playing him enough, or they're just fucking not realizing when it's fucking up. I don't know, but it's very clearly a problem to me, and a fairly big portion of the Overwatch community. And so I want to take this opportunity to go into detail why Genji's climb is fucking up, the ways that I know it's fucking up, how to actually avoid it, and some common myths that are being spread. One really, I guess, just the one really big fucking common myth that's being spread around by people who shouldn't be spreading it around, and basically just talk about what they could do to improve it in general. So, basically, here's how Genji's climb works. When you are looking at a wall within, let's say, a 0-degree angle, then obviously you hold space, and you hold forward, and you climb. Now, you can go into options right here, and then you can choose your controls, choose Genjo, and then select automatically climb walls. You can turn it on if you want. Frankly, I like to have it off because I don't like it. There is one small benefit of having it on, in that you don't need to waste your double jump when you're up next to a wall. So, if you want to... Where's a good example of this? If you want to start climbing from a jump, you don't need to use your double jump right there. And notice I did just fuck up my climb, but I'm not blaming that on the game. That was my fault for not hitting the wall at the right angle. So it's a completely different thing than what I have issues with. But if you decide to start your climb halfway through a jump with auto wall climb on, you can turn off and then do your double jump. However, if you are going about this with automatic wall climb turned off, then if you want to start the climb halfway through the jump after you've let go of space, you have to use your double jump, and you can slightly hear his jump sound effect in the background right as I hit the wall, because I have to hit space again right there to start it. So that is a benefit of having automatic climb walls on, is that you don't have to waste your double jump on the wall. Now, frankly, that should be avoidable. That's easily coded out of the game. I don't know why that's even a problem. They should say if you double jump within a quarter of a second before hitting a wall, then it shouldn't count as your actual double jump, so you can do it again. So if you do decide to let go of space for whatever reason halfway through the jump, then it's not a problem. However, I just always hold jump until I land as Genji nowadays anyways, because I think it's just proper practice when you play Genji to be doing that. Now, so when you're facing the wall at a 0-degree angle, let's find a better wall somewhere. There's a nice flat wall right here. When you're facing the wall at a 0-degree angle, you will, of course, always climb. This doesn't matter how much you're looking upwards, he will always climb while facing a 0-degree angle. And this is the big myth. People say you shouldn't look up, or you should always look straight ahead while climbing. I'm sorry, but that's bullshit. It makes zero difference on your climb. Believe it, as someone who's played 70 hours on Genji, I've done this a lot. It makes no fucking difference. I don't know where this rumor got started, and I see it on literally every video that I talk about his climb, and it's just false. It is demonstrably false. Look at me looking straight down. Look at that. I'm climbing. Wow, even though I'm not looking straight at the wall. How does this fucking work? I don't fucking know how it works. I'll tell you how it works. Because as long as you're approaching the wall at a 0-degree angle, it's fine. Obviously, if you approach the wall at 90-degree angle, you're never going to touch the wall, so that's impossible. So we got 45 is somewhere in between the two, and roughly at about, I don't know, 20, 30 degrees like this is the last of your climbing ability. Once you turn it just a little bit more, well, he titched this little bit right here, so let's try it right here. Look at that, no climb. No climb at all. However, if you turn it just a little to the left, a little more to the left, suddenly he climbs. Now, let's go back right here. Let's put it back in not climbing mode. When I look up like this, it will look like I'm facing the wall. because so much of the wall is in view, but of course, he's not going to climb it. So people will approach the wall and look up and go, oh my god, why aren't I climbing? This is how this myth gets propagated. Because people think they're looking at a wall while they're sitting at a roughly, I don't know what that is, 25, 30 degree angle. Whereas if you turn it just a little bit more to the left, suddenly Genji feels like climbing. And again, it's because of the angle of his horizontal movement. It is 100% dictated by that. The myth that he can't look up while climbing is 100% false, and I have no fucking idea how it started. I've tried doing a Google and a YouTube search and a Reddit search. I've tried every search. I cannot find the origin of this myth. I've also put out a call on Twitter for anyone that can tell me where they first heard it, where it came from. I have no idea. If I had to guess, probably a big YouTuber or player said it somewhere, not realizing that it was 100% dictated by horizontal rotation and nothing to do with where your mouse is vertically. It is just what it feels like. So when people say they're looking dead on at the wall, all they're doing is they're tricking their brain into always forcing themselves to approach the wall from a 0 degree angle, whereas if you look up, occasionally it feels like you're looking at the wall even though you're at like a 30 degree angle. That's it. That's 100% how the myth is propagated, and it's why it works, and I'm using the term works in air quotes. It's got nothing to do with actually looking up or down. Now, too much horizontal rotation is just one reason why Genji's wall climb fails. Another reason why it fails is having little lips or side areas or random bits on the wall and basically making it so that you're not climbing the wall that you thought you were climbing. And this is a big one. This is a kind of biggish one. For example, right here, let's say I'm getting shot at by, I don't know, that robot. Just explain. Say I'm getting shot at by someone and I want to climb to the top of that thing. So I'm running and I climb and I look up and look at that. My climb starts for a second. Well, didn't again. I look up, it starts for a second, and then just really bad example, of course, one I want to show you. It starts for a second, and then it stops. Of course, I was holding space that whole time. That's because, there we go, that's a little better. It's a little bit better. That's because Genji is actually climbing this bit right here, or, yeah, that's because I'm not actually colliding with this blue thing, even though my stars hit into it. I'm accidentally climbing this thing because that's the angle that I'm latched onto. So unfortunately, even if you're looking straight on, you can occasionally find, I think this is a bad example with this particular level, you can find areas where he's choosing to climb something that's a little lip, even though it looks like it should be straight onto the actual wall. This is kind of a good example. You kind of have to turn to pull it off, but notice you can hear the space bar getting pressed and released, and he's just randomly deciding to hit that grip. Of course, it's got a lot to do with my current angle, but if you're getting shot at, you don't have time to, like, always sit there and perfectly line up an exact 0 degree angle. But if you fucking want to, you can come in and do, like, a fucking 360 and still climb, as long as you actually start the climb at that exact angle. And that's where having automatic wall climb can actually fuck you, because sometimes he'll start the wall climb before you're ready for it, and you will not be able to pull off the actual climb. So we'll go into controls, go into Genji, turn on automatically climb walls, and as we try that same tactic again, he starts and then stops because the angle was incorrect. Because he didn't start at the exact time. He didn't start the wall climb when my mouse was facing that 0 degree angle that is so important to keep the climb. Now, I don't know why Blizzard has that in place. I don't think that you should stop the climb while looking away. I think they should turn off seeing this. He just didn't even fucking do it that time. That's the thing. I don't know why. That's, I guess, one of the other reasons. Sometimes he just fucking decides not to. The game thinks I'm trying to climb on this lip, and so it's using up my climb without realizing that, of course, I don't want to be fucking climbing on that little thing. So that, again, is a really big problem with Genji's climb, is that you hit these individual little tiny lips or things in the level, and it triggers his climb ability, and since you haven't landed, and of course I can't recreate it, even though, luckily, I caught it on video this time, even though you can't recreate it, it's because it's just some tiny, there we go, I just did it. I just let go of space, he didn't fucking climb. I think a good workaround to that would be, anytime Genji's climb is triggered for less than 1/3 of a second, then it should go on an invisible ability cooldown refresh timer, I should say. Like, basically you get like a half a second period where you can start a new climb for free. And that would basically solve the game's problem with hitting individual random lips that occasionally decide to turn off his climb. So we're gonna go ahead and turn off automatic wall climbing now that I've shown that little thing. Now, I feel like I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't address this in a little bit more detail, but Hanzo and Junkrat's Tire's climbs operate mostly the same, especially Hanzo. Tire, they actually reduce the timer and the cooldown so you can climb indefinitely, which is vastly important in climbing, because then you are no longer hitting little lips like I was hitting right here. And another popular spot for this is on Hanamura, right here. This jump is fucking brutal, and I think it's got to do with this little lip right here. I could be wrong, but when you jump from right here, it's very common. Try that again. It is very common for Genji to just not climb. Of course, now that I'm recording and talking about it, he feels like climbing. Let's give it one more shot. It is very common for Genji to just not climb. And I think it's because of that little lip right there. So overall, I think all of these problems with Genji's climb can be solved. Well, one, by, like I said, putting that little cooldown timer so that you can have a quick refresh. Like if you accidentally hit a lip or something, then having that little grace period ability would basically give you the ability to have some leeway so that these little tiny lips and shit, they just don't fucking count. Either that or have Genji's climb, instead of being one time per jump, have it just be a total number of seconds per jump. I don't know how that would play out. Maybe they can put it on the PTR so that as long as you are still in the air, you could just climb as much as you wanted until you've used up all, whatever it is, 2 or 3 seconds of his climb. But I think a problem that would prevent a lot of unnecessary deaths in Genji is simply to have an ability appear at the bottom right that shows when his climb can and cannot be used. That way, when you do a jump like this, you see that little ability down at the bottom right turn yellow and you realize you don't have your climb. Shit, I should double jump and use my dash because my climb hit a random fucking lip somewhere. Ideally, showing this ability should not be necessary. However, I think it would be a great addition to the game since they really don't seem to be addressing the problem of getting the climb fixed. And it would actually make quality of life way better for Genji's because there would be no longer would we have these random deaths, but also we would actually be able to diagnose easier what is actually causing the problems with his climb. That way we can recreate things like that. I didn't like those face at all. And he should have started climbing. I didn't approach it from an exact 0-degree angle, but at near the bottom there, I did have the correct 0-degree angle. He should have started the climb then. So again, that's a time where automatic wall climb would have been bad because I would have started it too soon and then turned the mouse away or something. But yeah. So in summary, some of the things that can fuck up Genji's climb are accidentally starting the cooldown from an invisible lip, that we just saw right here, having too much horizontal rotation to the left or to the right, again, nothing to do with looking up or down, bouncing off of a random piece of the level's geometry, and this one you just have to memorize the levels because sometimes it fucks you up in some areas. A little post sticking out of a wall fucks you up. But in other areas, it doesn't. It has no effect on you whatsoever. So you really just have to know the levels in order to know what can fuck you up. And it used to be that while climbing, you would hit into little lips and things that would screw you up, which I think still occasionally happens in areas like I showed you in the training range, where there's a diagonal surface of a wall next to a flat wall. But they've actually done a pretty good job of fixing little things like this. I remember in a previous video, I bonked into these torches, and now it seems like you can actually pass right through them without issue. So it's good they fixed that. But of course, the last one is a big fucking question mark, because there's times when you feel like you should climb, and Genji just doesn't fucking climb. I don't know what the fuck they could do to fix those times. I'm sure it would require a lot of diagnosis, but like I said, I feel like having the ability to see when it's actually on cooldown would just make a big-ass difference, don't you? I think it would. So that's my analysis of Genji's climb. And if there's one thing you take away from this video, I hope it's that I've impressed upon you the knowledge that looking up or down has fucking nothing to do with whether or not you climb.